Hi everyone, so it's Shaun here. We're speaking, myself and Anya, talking about search engine optimization, the industry of content marketing, especially around using LinkedIn, using search engine optimization to drive sales, to drive leads to your business. Obviously, there's been a lot of changes in SEO recently, with recent algorithm updates impacting not only search results for businesses, but search results across the board. There's been mix-ups that Google's been sort of making in their SERPs, and we've got to sort of pivot as businesses to make sure that we're prepared for these pivots and make sure that we're evening out these big sort of peaks and troughs that Google sends our way. And we can do that. We can do that using a few methods that we're going to be talking about during this video. So Anya is someone that I've worked with quite a bit, and we talk about these topics very often, and we decided to jump on a call, and we thought it might be useful for her followers, for my audience as well, to sort of hear two people in the industry talk about search engine optimization, talk about content marketing as a concept, as a marketing concept for businesses in general, and what this means for them moving forward. So Anya, it's great to be on a call with you. Perhaps introduce yourself to everyone, and we'll take it from there.
Thank you very much. Anya Ciecierski, it's a hard last name, 2 chairs and a ski. I'm the owner of the ERP Software Blog and CRM Software Blog, which are top group blog sites in the Microsoft Dynamics channel. Our sites help Microsoft Dynamics partners to really tell the world how awesome they are and get their content out there.
Anya's been doing some magic in the Microsoft space for a while now. We've been connected through mutual connections, and the work that they've been doing over on the blog has been exceptional, and it's been really a privilege to work alongside Anya so far. So I'm really excited about that. So Anya, what are you sort of seeing in terms of SEO, in terms of content marketing in general? What are you seeing in terms of trends? What are businesses feeling? And how are we sort of pivoting with the way that Google's busy playing with their results?
You know, it's interesting. I think a lot of my members are starting to realize that something's changing here. Something's different. They're not exactly sure what. And then they hear the message, you had a really nice post out recently, is SEO dead? And the fact is, it's not dead, but it has changed a lot, and quite quickly, I think. The things that used to work and the metrics that we used to use to measure success are no longer the same. And so I think it really takes a shift in mindset to not just be looking at traffic numbers, backlink numbers, all these data points, right? But to really be looking at how am I using my website, the other places that I put content, to really build authority, build trust, build these things that Google is now saying are so important. How can I pivot a little bit, and so that I'm now playing the game they want me to play? In my opinion, it's great. I started back in 2009 with these group blog sites. I'm not an extremely technical person. I'm more on the marketing side. And I have a business partner who's the techie. And I think for me, it's always been more about the content, right? Writing for the reader, writing for the person.
Totally.
Sometimes that got lost a little bit with, make it 3,000 words because Google wants that. Repeat everything 1 million times. Put your cities where you work in small white font at the bottom to try to trick Google. All these things that never really tricked Google. Mm-hmm. It's becoming really more important to just be honest, have good, authentic content with your own experience. And it's nice now that we see Google will be rewarding that. But it's also scary because it's changed so much, and we want to see our articles up at the top of the Google search page, and we don't anymore, right? Because it's filled with a lot of other things.
The way that Google is now presenting results, it's good in the sense that it's creating better experience for Google's users, which is what Google's always trying to achieve. It's what they did with the Penguin update back in the day. Before the Penguin update, you could literally rank for high value medical keywords, insurance keywords, with just a bunch of backlinks and a bunch of spammy content on your page. Gone are those days. It was a similar sort of event back then when Penguin happened. A bunch of websites just died and industries died off because of because of that update. But what happened was the quality of the content that was coming in the SERPs was just a lot better. So we were all grateful for it at the end of the day. And it meant that creators that were taking their job seriously and really wanted to give readers something worthwhile reading, something that they could actually engage with and actually find useful, that came to the top. And that's what we wanted, because that's what us as creators that really wanted to put useful stuff in front of our readers, that's what we really wanted. And we didn't want to keep getting beaten by these guys that were gaming the system. I think the recent changes is something similar to that. It's this movement towards how can we make the SERPs even better for users. Obviously, Google's got their commercial incentives using their own AI tools in the SERPs and presenting up summarized versions of answers. This is something no one can avoid. It's going to be the future of SEO in general. So we just need to pivot. And how do we do that? We create better content. So when we're creating content, for example, for the ERP blog, let's not just create content for the sake of creating content. When people come across our content, they need to binge our content. How else can I find more content by this specific company? Because they're super interesting. They're not just giving me interesting information, but they're presenting it to me in a way that's useful. It's entertaining. It's giving me other resources to use in addition to that. So there's a lot we can do to build out content, especially, for example, on the ERP blogs. Instead of just having text, you should be having multimedia experience, have videos embedded, have podcasts embedded. Like I said, have downloadable resources embedded. It makes it a useful resource for people. It's not just, let's put this piece of content up. This is an asset. This is a piece of your real estate out on the internet somewhere. And you want to make sure that it's as high quality as the services that you offer your clients. If it's just slapdash and it's sort of an afterthought because it's just something that you need to get up because everyone says it needs to happen, the reader's going to have the same attitude when they come across your content. They're going to think, well, they barely put any thought into this. I'm going to read this. I'm just move on to the next topic. And that's a good thing for us as creators who really want to put high quality content out there, because that's going to be presented to readers moving forward. And when it comes to, obviously, we've got to think about things like backlinks. Backlinks are important. It's in Google's eyes, it's an indication to them what the most high quality content is, because if your content is high quality, other people will naturally link back to it. That's the principle behind backlinking. You're fortunate. Your blog is very well established. So any of the businesses that have got content hosted on your blog, if they make any sort of changes to their blog in terms of updating it, improving it, it'll have an outsized effect for that piece of content because of the quality of the backlinks that you've got and because of the network of content that you've got already on there. That's going to always perform better than someone's website who's got maybe 3 blog posts in that industry. So it's still a very powerful position to be in, because Google is still dependent on content in the SERPs. They just want much higher quality content, and that's going to benefit everyone.
It is, but don't you think it's daunting for people, a small business owner, to hear that, to say, well, it's not just about, we want you to be consistent, so get content out consistently, but it also has to be really, really good content.
Yeah.
And I think that could be a little bit scary, and maybe that's where they need to get some outside help, for example, from a company like yours, or come up with strategies of how can I, say, interview a subject matter expert in my organization and really bring out that good, deep, meaty content. How could I partner up with some of my industry partners? In our world, it's like a resellers and ISVs, VARs and ISVs. How can we work together to try to come up with more high quality content consistently, so that we're not just spending all of our efforts on one awesome piece, but we only get one out a quarter? That also isn't going to work for them real well.
Absolutely right. You need that balance, right? But the thing is, it's not a case of, okay, it's gotten harder, we're just going to stop doing it. It's a case of, it's gotten harder, we need to get better at this. SEO, content marketing is not going away. It's literally your business on the internet. You need to show people you're an expert at what you do. And just having a landing page up saying you're an ERP expert, if you sell Business Central, for example, just saying that and sort of having a couple of testimonials up, anyone can do that. Everyone in the industry should be doing that by sort of standard practice. What is the differentiating factor? The content on the internet that sets you apart from your competitors. Now, obviously, over the last few years with the introduction of AI tools, writing has become easier. But what's happened now is, yes, the content sphere has filled up, but the quality of that content sphere is still not there. It's still very, very average. So you as a business still creating high quality content will stand out like a sore thumb, basically, because yours will very obviously be better than the content that your competitor puts out. And that's what you want, right? You want to not only show people, look, my landing page is better, but the content I've got out there is better than my competitors. Like I said, it's not a case of it's gotten harder, we're going to stop. It's just a case of getting better at what you're doing to make sure that your business is future-proofed. Where else can you use this content? SEO is just one benefit. Long-form content has got the added benefits of adding credibility to whatever you're doing. It speeds up the sales funnel, because when people are researching your business, it's much quicker and easier for them to find information that you've put out there rather than trying to book a call with you and then speak with you. They're not going to do that, especially if your competitors have got content out there already. How else do you use this content that you've put so much time and effort into creating? One is on social media, definitely LinkedIn. I mean, Anya, have you seen any good examples of how businesses have been doing this, and what sort of best practices have you been seeing that has been really impacting businesses? How are they better using their long form content essentially?
That's a great question. I think that the companies who take the time to really get good at one platform and stick with that have better success than the ones who try to do a little bit in a lot of places. So for example, if you were to pick LinkedIn in our industry and really dive in to figure out, how do I make this work for us? What are the algorithms? What are they looking for? How does that change all the time? Because just putting up a title of a blog post and a link, it's just not going to get you as much traffic as do the things that you and your team recommend, with having a hook, having the links in strategic places, asking other people to engage in conversations with you, because LinkedIn is really rewarding that type of. It's rewarding conversations and engagement. It doesn't want it to just be you blasting out your content all the time, but figuring out, how can I help other people? How can I talk to other people? Who are the people that are interested in what I'm saying? Building content, for example, putting it on YouTube, excellent. And then also putting that same video, embedding in a blog post, embedding that into a LinkedIn post as well. And maybe you don't end up using all the channels depending on your industry. Nobody says you have to also be on Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest, and I've seen Microsoft partners try to do that, and maybe that works. I haven't seen as many good examples of that yet, but there is so much you can do with just one piece of content, spreading it out into so many different places, or repurposing it a little bit when it gets a little bit stale, refreshing it so that it looks newer. While it is extra work, like you said, to come up with that high quality content, if you can figure out how can I maximize it, that'll really help. We help our clients a lot of times to say, okay, you have a good blog post here. Can we rewrite that for you? Can we repurpose it, put it out on our site so that you're kind of getting double mileage from this particular post? Can we cross-link it to other areas? Do you have videos on YouTube we can embed?
Exactly.
Things like that.
That's a big part of it, right? Like you've just said there, that's the key, is turning these long form pieces of content into shorter form pieces of content, is using them again on your LinkedIn. Like you just said, if you had one really well-crafted blog post and that had statistics that you'd gone and fetched, it had an embedded video, a long form video that you can embed to sort of talk about the same thing. If you had imagery that you'd embedded, all of this can be repurposed for social media. Your long form piece of content can be broken up into smaller pieces, into individual posts. Your long form video can be clipped up into shorter form pieces of content. Like you said, stick to one platform, and I highly recommend that too. So you could literally repurpose the same piece of content, and we recommend you do that over and over again, especially if you've got evergreen content. There's no reason to change evergreen content. That's the beauty of it. Once it's created once, you don't have to write an article on why it's important for a business to have an ERP system more than once, because it's only really the same reasons over and over again. You could refresh it if there was any new sort of like AI, if you wanted to mention that. Once you've got your really high quality evergreen piece of content, you should think about it as an asset that you've got on the internet that you're upgrading, like a house, right? A piece of property that you've got, and you're upgrading that. You're putting a new porch torchlights on. It's the same thing you're doing with your SEO content. Think about it that way. You're always going in and doing it up and putting another this and another quote and another piece of research, because that's what Google wants at the end of the day. And that honestly is how you get SEO content to rank.
Yeah.
We've touched on long form content. We've touched on how you repurpose that for social media. Now we need to touch on what you do with the traffic that you're generating, right? This is something that I actually mentioned in a recent newsletter as well, is how are you making sure that these people that you're getting their attention on LinkedIn, you're getting their attention on SEO, using SEO, what do you do with them after that? Now, something that a lot of people in the industry haven't yet cottoned onto, they haven't yet taken advantage of, is email newsletters. And you can really do a lot when you're able to nurture a relationship with your ideal client profile, the person that's reading your content, who's downloaded something useful from you, a cheat sheet or a tool or a template of some sort, or a 5-part short course, something that they're willing to give you their email address for in exchange for some sort of learning opportunity that gets them from A to B. What happens is they are added to your email list, and you get to nurture them over and over again with educational content, getting them to a point where they're able to make a decision. Most people don't buy from you, not because they don't trust you, not because they don't know you. They don't buy because they don't understand the importance of what you're offering. If you can put it within the context of what they're doing and let them understand what pain points you're sorting out, or what pain points you're solving through your offer, let them know that you're there to support them. Give them the information. If they can't afford to hire you to help them, give them the information to DIY, to do it themselves, so that when they do get to a point where they can afford to pay you, you're the person they come to, because you're the person who can help them get from A to B. Anya, have you seen any companies that are using newsletters properly in ERP? Because you get these people that sort of have this call to action of join our newsletter, and I can imagine it doesn't do very well. Have you seen any people in the ERP industry that are doing newsletters right?
Nothing comes to the top of my head that I say, wow, I always get that company's newsletter or emails regularly. I get yours regularly, which I read. But see, I'm your target audience, not an ERP buyer.
Is there anyone in the industry where you think they are sending newsletters? Like someone, is there a person in the industry that you think, okay, this person is sending out regular ERP newsletters, and they're the person I need to go to when I want to know more about how to implement, how to optimize, how to really make an ERP system work for my business?
The one that comes to mind, I think, would be the Enterprise Software Podcast newsletter. So they've been a very successful podcast for many, many years. I think they just had their 100th episode, and they've decided to kind of morph their business into more of a regular email newsletter. And that is a great example of a newsletter that is just packed full of valuable snippets specifically for the audience. I think that's the best example that I can think of right now of someone in my channel that is sending out emails consistently in that way. Mm-hmm.
And that's an opportunity, right? If the ERP service providers that you work with are able to start growing a list of people who are familiar with their brand, who know the service that they offer, ERP implementation, ERP optimization, disaster recovery, if they're able to start growing a list of people that are knowledgeable, that know sort of who they are in the industry, but now are nurturing them using that email list, that's a huge opportunity. I would honestly encourage anyone in the industry, because then you're making the most of the traffic that you're getting, right? You're putting a lot of effort into building these assets, building these SEO blog posts, putting out that LinkedIn content. Turn those people into newsletter subscribers using a valuable offer, not a newsletter call to action, something like a guide or something like a tool or an assessment, a free assessment of some sort, and build an email list where you're constantly top of mind. There's this concept in custom conversion called the 7-11-4 principle. The idea is for someone to make a decision about your service or product, they need to have consumed at least 7 hours of your content across 11 touch points across 4 different platforms. So think about this. It could be multiple LinkedIn posts, a few email posts, and maybe a couple of SEO blog posts, or it could be that sort of combination. But the idea is it takes that much touch points, that many touch points to convert someone from a cold lead into a paying customer. And you're not going to get that with one LinkedIn post or one long form content. You have to have this omni-channel approach. So just as my thought from a content marketing perspective, and I highly recommend everyone in the ERP's, like you said, channel, start looking at that as a potential way of making the most of all the effort you're putting into getting traffic to your website. That's the biggest thing.
And I just read the newsletter or the email that you sent out, and I think it was, you were recommending to stay top of mind that you should really be sending out at least once a week, which I thought was very interesting.
It's a lot if you think about it from a big business perspective. If you have to put content through a marketing department and you need to put it through the C-suite to make sure they're approving, and there's a lot that goes into sort of releasing content on a regular basis, especially if there's a lot of business structure around the decision-making process. But if you can find a regular sort of newsletter that just makes sense, it could be literally just an update by the CEO to the clients. It could be, these are the updates we're making to our products. We'd love to get your feedback, or these are the changes we're making to our offer in the next 6 months. What do you think on the next price, what the next price point should be? We'd love to get your thoughts on that. There's a lot you can do to personalize the business, because remember, people don't want to be doing business with faceless businesses. They want to connect with the people in the business. So use the newsletters as an opportunity not only to send marketing information, not these pre-built templates, newsletter templates that you send out that just no one reads anyway, go straight to the spam folder. What you want is a newsletter that says something, and it could literally just be a blurb by the CEO, thoughts from the management structure of the business to the clients, so that the clients know who is behind this company. And it's not just the marketing department trying to speak to me and convert me, it's the owners of the business talking to me, and that's how you relate to people. And then in those emails you include your call to actions. You can do it minimalist, you can include it in the footer as a PS, you can do it in your content with sort of just a link out to a landing page, but not really pushing on it more. It's more about relationship building. That's the whole idea, is getting them to a point where they're comfortable making a decision about your service or product. That's the big thing.
And Shaun, do you have success seeing people send out the same message or different messages to their existing customers versus their ideal prospects? Because they've got both of those lists, right, that they're trying to communicate with.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot you can do with that. What I always recommend is having sort of a catch-all bucket of contacts. So this includes customers and non-customers. Because what happens is a lot of times you could send out an email that includes both these buckets of people, giving a new offer to existing clients. That gives people that aren't clients FOMO. They want to get involved so they can get that thing. So there's that sort of strategy, but then you can also get more technical, where you can have, you can obviously have your audience segmented. So whenever you send your daily or your weekly newsletter, you send it to everyone, and that creates the FOMO. It creates the relationship, because those aren't your hard call to actions. Those are the relationship building emails, and those are eventually what are going to be converting most of your clients for you. But having them segmented so that you have the option of pushing more salesy messages to non-customers, or having the option of sending more loyalty-driven content towards existing clients and offering them offers that you wouldn't necessarily want the outside audience to see. So you get a lot of flexibility once you get people into your ecosystem. But the big thing is, the reason this is so important is, your email list is your asset. It's your baby. You could lose your entire LinkedIn profile. You could lose your entire website, everything. But you could restart your entire business with a single well-written email.
You know, when we talked about the Google 7-Eleven one thing I like about that too, that you had mentioned, is the different touch points, but the different locations, right? People expect to see you say how great you are and how smart you are on your own website. But when they start seeing your name out on other relevant industry sites, it starts to become just, you want to be ubiquitous. So wherever they're looking, they see you, and your name keeps coming up again and again. It kind of gives that little bit of level of third-party authority, right? Even though, okay, they're paying to be on this site, or they're posting over here as well, it's still a different place that you're seeing them share their expertise. So you've got their website, their emails are good, but then they're also seeing you on LinkedIn. They're seeing you on the ERP Software Blog. They're seeing you out maybe in this other industry site. And all of that working together really plays into what Google's telling us is, we need all these different touch points, locations, hours of engagement.
a big part of the ranking factor is sending traffic to your website that isn't search engine optimized traffic. So things like branded searches. If you have a business and people are going to Google and searching your business name in Google, that's an indicator to Google that you're doing something off of their platform to promote your business through LinkedIn, through events, through those sorts of things. That's a good indicator to Google that you're a serious business. You're not only depending on Google for your business. So they want to reward you for your effort. And as far as credibility, by having your content on a third-party website, that's old school PR, right? When you've got your name mentioned on an industry expert or an industry leading blog, it makes absolute sense that you're an authority in the space. Otherwise, the ERP blog wouldn't entertain a relationship with you. So there must be something there, right? So I always recommend, if you can, syndicate your content, not the exact content, but syndicate your content wherever you can, because it's having your name. I like to call it the tripod of authority. Basically, it's you, the service provider, and another person. And the other person is usually someone that lends authority. And like you said, the ERP blog is a great way to lend authority to your brand, especially if you're trying to get clients interested in the services that you're offering. I'm really excited about what you guys are doing, and I'm really excited about the clients who are already optimizing their content on your platform, because they're going to see really outsized benefits from doing that because of the existing authority that the domain already has, the backlinks that you guys already have, the traffic that you're getting off of SEO because of clients already sending people there. Literally, people, if you're on the ERP blog, edit your blogs and it'll have really, really outsized effects. But like we said, it's an asset. It's something you need to build over time. Just because it's getting harder doesn't mean we stop. We just get better at what we do.
Exactly.
I think that's a good place to stop. Is there anything else you wanted to cover, Anya?
No, I keep thinking about what you said earlier about your content being almost like a piece of real estate. And that's something I think that will stick with me from this conversation, because it is something that you go back to and you refurbish, you refresh, you make more valuable. And it's an asset. So for example, on one of our sites, the CRM Software Blog, there's a post from, I think it might even be 2011 or 2018, quite a few years ago, that still consistently is our #1 top ranking post. Thousands of visitors every month. And they hit the right spot, they got the right backlinks, and that post is just working for them with compound interest all the time. And now they can go back out there and add some new offers, and because they're still gleaning the benefits for so many years later. So I like the way you said that. I might have to steal that.
Yeah, go for it. It's one of those things, and when you think about the cost of acquisition for customers through these types of assets, it becomes negligible, because it's especially that blog post. Now imagine that. I would love to know how many clients that's brought them. That's just one thing, just having the blog there. But how many times did they repurpose that for LinkedIn? How many times did they repurpose that for any other platforms? That one piece of content has probably brought them customers over and over and over and over again. And you can do this with every piece of content that you're adding to the ERP blog, to your website, to LinkedIn, wherever you're adding content, you can use the asset in that same way. That's very interesting to hear. I'm glad that we were able to jump on a call, Anya, and talk about these really interesting concepts. I must do it again soon, because it's a really interesting finding out what's happening in the ERP space. We've got a few clients in that space as well. So it's always useful to hear what's happening on the inside from a content perspective, and to see how things are evolving and how companies are pivoting and adjusting to the changes. But yeah, thanks so much for the conversation.
Thank you very much for the invitation.